Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Let's join me as I recount some of the most haunting experiences I've encountered during my journeys across the globe. Buckle up, because this is going to be one wild ride. Knock knock, Socy Dark Talks is back. After spending time exploring a graveyard in San Cristobal de las Casas, Mexico, I woke up scared in the middle of the night. In my dream, I was tied to a burning wheel, rolling through a field of dry corn. Just as my hair caught fire, I woke up and saw my clock showing 6:666. After washing my face, I looked in the mirror and saw black wings behind me, like bats. I felt something in the room, but when I turned, nothing was there. I stayed awake all night, unable to sleep. In the morning, I went out for coffee. If this wasn't one of the craziest travel stories, as soon as I stepped onto the street, a black bird fell dead in front of me. Then a man was hit by a car, and later, the stray dog I'd been feeding was dead by the church. I felt like I was a walking disaster. Not sure what to do, I went to the Museo de la Medicina Maya, which is about natural medicine and traditional practices of the 𝐒𝐨𝐜𝐿 and 𝐶𝐿TAL people in Chiapas. Besides the garden and exhibits of herbs, there was a spot in the community where you could talk to a local shaman. With the help of a translator, I was told I had done something wrong and bad spirits were following me. The shaman gave me a list of things to buy for a special cleaning ritual. I got the items from a lady in the market. I went back to the Mayan center with a basket full of eggs, basil, and smelly plants. After a long process of saying special words, using incense, smoke, and plants, the shaman said I was free from the bad spirits. He said I should be careful in the future, especially in spooky places like graveyards, and do things to protect myself spiritually. I left feeling very thankful to be rid of the bad feelings and to have learned something. Now, I try to avoid scary places unless I do what the shaman said to protect myself. A couple of years ago, I was studying abroad at a really old castle called 𝐒𝐨𝐜𝐿 Castle in southern England. During our orientation, we learned all about the castle's history and some spooky stuff too. One of the stories was about the headless drummer, a ghost who was said to wander around with a drum. One night, my friend and I were walking through a dark hallway from the library to the pub. Funny enough, the pub was called the Headless Drummer. As we walked down the dimly lit hallway, we suddenly heard drumming sounds. We both stopped in our tracks and listened carefully. It was faint, but we could definitely hear it, drumming on a snare drum. We looked at each other, half smiling because it seemed so unbelievable, and half scared because we both heard it. I asked my friend, "Are you hearing that too?" Without hesitation, he replied, "Yes, I hear it too." Our surprise quickly turned to fear, and we ran out of there as fast as we could. When we finally reached the pub and saw our friends, they joked that we looked like we'd seen a ghost. We told them what happened, and they were shocked. We needed a few drinks to calm down that night, and we made sure to walk home with a big group, just in case. In November 2019, I had dinner at K. Paul's restaurant in New Orleans. Before eating, I went to the bathroom. It was close to our table, which was good because it meant I wouldn't be away from dinner for long. We sat on the second floor of the building. While in the restroom, I noticed a gap under the stall door. I thought I'd be able to see and hear if someone came in. I didn't see the door open or hear anyone leave the other stalls. But suddenly, the sink turned on full blast. I was surprised because I thought I was alone in there. When I walked out of my stall, I saw a young woman with black hair and heavy makeup, washing her hands vigorously next to me. She kept looking at me and smiling, which made me uncomfortable. As a New Yorker, I usually keep to myself. It felt strange that she was staring at me so closely, but I tried to ignore her and focus on washing my hands. But I couldn't resist my curiosity and wondered why she was still washing her hands. Then I peeked into her sink, saw a big cut on her hand, bleeding a lot and turning the water red. It was so scary that I couldn't breathe properly. She said, "My boyfriend is scared of me now because I accidentally broke a glass." She laughed weirdly and kept smiling strangely at me. Her actions were so strange that I thought she might be really drunk and not helping her wound properly. "You should put pressure on that cut," I said casually. But she just kept smiling like a joker and repeated, "My boyfriend is scared of me. I broke the glass by accident." I nodded politely and left the restroom quickly, feeling dizzy and really disturbed. I told my family the story at dinner, and we waited for the strain girl to come out. But we never saw her leave the restroom. I looked around the restaurant during our meal, but I didn't see her anywhere. There was a first-floor dining room, but she would have had to take an elevator and walk pretty far to use the restroom near us. This wouldn't have made much sense considering there were first-floor restrooms. I visited the bathroom once more before we left after dinner, but there was nobody in there. We were driving from Los Angeles to San Francisco and still had a long way to go to Santa Barbara. The views of the coast from the Pacific Highway were stunning. When the sun started to set, we reached our destination, and I couldn't think of a nicer place to stay than the Simpson House Inn. But I wasn't ready for what turned out to be the scariest night of my life. I was staying in the Catherine McCormick room, which was decorated in rich colors like burgundy, gold, blues, and green. I recognized the Bradbury wallpaper right away. The bed had crochet and lace sheets on it. Like many Victorian houses back then, the rooms didn't have bathrooms attached. Mine was down the hall and had old-fashioned features like a pull-chain toilet and a stained glass window. We sat on the porch and enjoyed the big green lawns with nicely trimmed bushes and trees. Gail, the innkeeper, gave us wine and snacks and told us about the house's history. We went to bed around 10 p.m., but I couldn't sleep well. I kept waking up and wondering what time it was. It felt like a long time had passed. I felt tired and half asleep when I saw a skinny woman come into my room. She looked small and weak. Her being there made me feel scared, and when she sat on the bed, she hardly made it move. I felt really scared and panicked. "Who are you? Why are you here? What do you want?" I was fully awake, but I couldn't move my body. I lay there on my back, unable to protect myself, waiting for something bad to happen. But then, she gently covered me with a crocheted blanket and tucked the sheets around me. Her touch was so gentle. Soon I felt calm and the fear went away. I realized she was there to comfort me and make me feel safe. Then, I fell asleep. When I woke up the next morning, I was still lying in the same way as when the woman came to my room. I felt a shiver, but I felt good and like I had slept well. At breakfast, I told my friends and the innkeeper about what happened. My friends didn't believe me and thought I just dreamed it until Gail said, "Oh, that was Emily." "Who?" My friends got quiet. "Emily. She used to live here." It was spooky that a ghost came to visit me. When I began working on cruise ships, I was told that some ships were more haunted than others. They thought it was because people who died on board. On one big ship I worked on, there were 2 floors just for the kids' club where I worked. When kids left to join their families, we started closing different parts and needed fewer staff to stay. On the night I was supposed to leave last, I was working downstairs in the children's area. All the kids upstairs had gone home, so my coworker closed all the rooms, locked the main doors, and turned off the lights before leaving. But about 30 minutes later, I heard footsteps from above. The only thing up there was the kids' area, which was already closed. I thought it was strange, but maybe a staff member came back for something. Even after the last kid left, I still heard footsteps upstairs. I went to check, but no one was there. All the rooms were locked and the lights were off. Later, I told some friends about it, and they said other staff members had similar experiences in that area. Everyone just accepted that there was a ghost in that room. The scariest thing was when the ship's security team called someone in the kids' center. They asked why there was a child left alone late at night, They saw a kid on the security footage without any adults around. Even though the area was already closed for the night, they checked again because of the call, but it was the same. All the lights were off, every door was locked, and there were no kids there. If you're looking for truly creepy travel stories, here are my craziest travel stories from just a few years ago. I'm also curious to know what you would do in these situations. Would you run away immediately or stay the night? Wishing you many happy and memorable trips in the future. Make sure to like and subscribe our channel so you won't miss out any creepy tales and scary adventures in the upcoming videos. This is Socy Dark Talks. Stay curious and embrace the darkness.